What's up, guys? Matt Brown here for TheLines.com. Let's talk some Monday Night Football between the Bills and the Bengals. Game of the year on paper. Anyway, super excited about this game. And welcome to our friends in Ohio. If you are newly sports betting there legally, be sure, head over to Lines. Look at all the specials that we have going on over there, all the promos and things like that. You can see on your screen right here. Mo's article actually has some of those in there if you want to take a look. And everything we do, absolutely free. So please hit that subscribe button down below. Give us a thumbs up. And then let us know how you are going to be playing. I mean, just a fantastic game. Just absolutely crazy good here. This game between the Bills and the Bengals. I mean, I couldn't possibly be more excited about this one. As we kind of take a look right here, I'll pop open a new window here at the Lines, and we can see kind of where this thing is sitting from an odds standpoint. Look at Juan's article here. So blended spread and total. So we're 1.5 in favor of the Bills across the board, except at PointsBet, we're sitting at 2, and 49.5 seems to be the prevailing total across over there. So when we take a look, and I'll scroll down so you can take a look at some of Mo's thoughts here. Of course, weather's not going to be a real factor there at all. From an injury standpoint, of course, Cincinnati lost Lyle Collins. That said, they are getting back Hayden Hurst this week in this one, which is pretty huge. On the Buffalo side of things, Jordan Poyer is actually listed as questionable as well. I'll sit here with this Bills offense versus the defense. And guys, this really comes down to, people are going to make a big deal about this Lyle Collins loss on the offensive line for the Bengals. And listen, you don't want a starter to go down, but if we're just, the fact of the matter is Lyle Collins had just not been playing very well this year at all. And I know a lot of people are going to say, Joe Burrow and the sacks and this, that, and the other. Look, Lyle Collins was the 94th graded pass blocker, according to Pro Football Focus, out of 98 guys that qualified with at least 100 snaps this season. 94th out of 98. He allowed 5 sacks and 34 pressures so far this season. So, I mean, Lyle Collins, you want your starter out there, but it's not like this is just a make or break type situation. Whoever's in there can't be that much worse for them. So if we do take a look, and people are going to say, hey, look, the Bills are coming in and they're riding this 6-game win streak, and it's true. But if you look at this team, if you look at the teams that they have played throughout this 6-game win streak, Browns, Lions, Patriots, Jets, Dolphins, and Bears. Right? So this is not one of those deals where we're sitting here looking and it's like, oh man, they've plowed through a murderer's road to get this win streak that they've got going on. And it's hard to win a bunch of consecutive games in the NFL. I'm not downplaying that, but I'm just saying it's not like one of those things where we're going through and we look at this 7-game win streak for the Bengals, and like you at least see now Panthers, not nothing huge there. Steelers, nothing huge there. They got the Titans before the Titans started playing like garbage. They beat the Titans. Then they beat the Chiefs. They beat the Browns. They beat the Bucs. They beat the Patriots, right? So both streaks equally impressive, if not more, from a Bengals side of things. They did beat the Chiefs along the way. They did beat the Bucs along the way. They did beat, again, the Titans before the Titans were completely dead along the way as well. So you look at then over at this win streak for the Bills, and you see that Jacoby Brissett threw for 324 yards against them. They needed a field goal with 2 seconds left to beat the Lions. They kicked a field goal as time expired to beat the Dolphins. The Dolphins outgained them 7.1 to 6.3 yards per play in that game. And then even beating the Bears by 22 points, eventually, we went to halftime at that game with the Bears up 10-6 in that game. Josh Allen picked off twice by this Bears team. It's the worst defense in the NFL. So I will say this. I do want to preface this. It sounds like I'm talking negatively about the Bills and the Bills offense. I mean, you can see where they rate. They're awesome. They're good. Bengals in here as well. I have these two teams power rated 1 and 2. Bills, Bengals in the entire NFL. Yes, I have Cincinnati ahead of Kansas City right now. So that ought to let you know just how closely I value these teams and how I think of these teams and all of this. But Cincinnati of late, and not just during this win streak, has been playing much better since week 9. So about the midpoint of the season, right? Their offense, number 1 EPA per play. And here's their season long numbers right here that I'm showing you on the screen. But since week 9, number 1 offense EPA per play, number 1 offense in success rate. Number 1 offense, DVOA. And then if you look at the defense, that is actually kind of the unsung hero here for this Bengals squad. Lou Anarumo, their defensive coordinator, has been awesome all year long. I pray he just stays with this team and we can kind of see how special this team could be next year. But he's probably going to get rumors of some head coaching stuff. This defense has been fantastic, specifically in the second halves. But if you just look since week 9 again, they're number 4 in EPA per play allowed. They're number 7 in success rate allowed. So this is a top 7 defense since week 9 to go along with the number 1 offense in the NFL since week 9. And then if you go to that same time span and you compare Josh Allen and Joe Burrow has better statistics than Josh Allen in every single advanced category that there is out there. Now, Josh Allen is still good in all those categories. It's just Burrow has been elite. And Burrow's been elite doing that a lot of that time without Jamar Chase being out there. Let's remember, Jamar Chase missed several games in a row. So they're really hitting their stride at the right time. They are really, really peaking at the right time as we head into the postseason here. And so when you take a look at Burrow's success, does it have a lot to do with his release time? And that's going to come into play here because a lot of people are going to point to this offensive line over and over and over again. And I'll scroll if you want to take a look at Mo's kind of some more additional Mo's thoughts here. The offensive line, they're going to keep saying, oh, Burrow, offensive line, the Bills and pressure and stuff and things like that. Joe Burrow is averaging 2.39 seconds per throw. It is second in the NFL only to Tom Brady. He is getting the ball out of his hands ridiculously fast. And he's smart. And honestly, listen, I don't think Zach Taylor's the sharpest tool in the shed, but credit where credit's due. He abandoned what they were doing earlier on in the season, switched what they were doing midway through the season, and that's when they really, really took off, right? So he was at least smart enough to understand that whatever he was doing was wrong. And with that, there's been this incredible success for this team, So I don't think that the pressure, they will get home. There will be a sack or two in this game. There will be some pressure generated, but I'm saying I don't think it's going to be this gigantic turning point in the game because Burrow just gets rid of the ball so quickly. Tre'Davious White is back on the Bills side. Who is he going to cover? How's that going to work? How's that going to affect maybe what this team can and can't do? Well, listen, Tre'Davious White is not the Tre'Davious White pre-injury quite yet. He might be next year. He might be later this season. I don't know, but he's not quite yet. Look, they shadowed him on Garrett Wilson when they played the Jets. Wilson went 6 for 78 yards, 6 catches, 78 yards. They chose to shadow Jalen Waddle in the Dolphins game instead of Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle went for 114 yards in that game. Now it was only on 3 catches, but 114 yards in that game. I'm guessing that's what they're probably going to do here. My guess is they put Tre'Davious White on T. Higgins and then they try to just play Jamar Chase over the top would be my guess in all this because they're likely to play just kind of over the top on Chase and not let him run crazy or whatever. That's what they did with the Dolphins. I imagine that's what they'll do here. So it's going to be fairly interesting because Jamar Chase is going to get a weaker corner, but he's probably going to get a lot of double teams. And then you still have to deal with Tyler Boyd and you still have to deal with Hayden Hurst, which by the way, Hayden Hurst, as I mentioned at the top, is going to be back in this one as well. If we look at the season-long statistics, if you're into that, if you don't like more recency stuff, I mean, these teams are neck and neck, as you would imagine. Bills, third overall offense DVOA for the entire season. Bengals, 5th overall for the entire season. The real difference comes when we start to look at the defensive side of things. The season-long stuff for the Bills is better. The more recent stuff for Cincinnati actually looks better than the Bills. And so, I mean, again, this thing is just so incredibly tight, so neck and neck whenever we look at this. And I really do think it's going to come down to Cincinnati just having a little bit more on the offensive side, just having a little bit more, couple extra weapons on the offensive side. I see this thing coming down to one of the almost like who possesses the ball last type of things. You can kind of go down right here. There are just so many different angles as to where this game could just play so tight, right? I mean, Josh Allen having success with his legs, which then kind of keeps the Cincinnati offense off the field. I mean, multiple different ways that this thing plays very, very close. And that's why I think the spread is appropriate. That's why I think everything's appropriate. I do lean a slight edge towards Cincinnati, which is why I just played them on the money line more as an action bet. Listen, there's no true, real discernible edge in this game, right? I mean, there's just not. I mean, these teams are so equally matched. If you think the Bills are even a little bit better, well, they're on the road at Cincinnati. So that might negate that even just a tad, right? So it's just, for me, if I think these two teams are equal, I have them 1 and 2 in the power ratings. Give me 1 point at this point advantage for Cincinnati playing at home. Home field advantage isn't worth really jack these days. Then I'll play a little bit of an action play on Cincinnati money line and going about it. I mean, listen, if you guys want to, because there are 1.5s available, as we saw when we were looking at this, I mean, you could put Cincinnati in a teaser and roll it into week 18. You would just really have to find a dance partner that you feel confident in. Week 18 so wonky and janky. You could go that direction if you wanted to. I mean, I think it's a fairly solid teaser leg, even with the total being a little bit higher, because Cincinnati's just never out of any game with all these weapons that they have. They're just never out. I mean, like, even if they were to get down a couple of scores, I mean, the backdoor cover to a teaser leg is still going to be wide open until the game's basically over. So if you want to go that direction, I don't think that that's incredibly horrible either. And you know, Mo's kind of final thoughts here even mentions kind of like if you wanted to play it as a teaser or something like that would be a way that you could go about it. One of the other things I do have in my account, I do have an over on Gabriel Davis though at 44.5. Look, I imagine Steph Diggs is going to get paid a lot of attention in this game. And Gabriel Davis, for my projections, I have him more mid 50s. So I think that that's a decent little edge. I have him more at like 53 and change, like as far as projections go. And so 9 yards of edge, not a ton, but enough for me to put in an overplay on Gabriel Davis. Again, I think that we're going to see a couple of teams that throw the ball a good amount in this one. And I think that Steph Diggs is going to get paid a ton of attention by Cincinnati. And with that, Gabe Davis ends up over this 44.5 here. This is just a walkthrough. Again, guys, it's not necessarily what I think is going to happen, just kind of painting the picture of a same game parlay that tells the story of Cincinnati winning the game, right? So Cincinnati money line. If they're going to win this game, they're probably going to have to score 24 points, right? At least 24 points. You don't think they're winning. Nobody thinks this game is going to be a low scoring slog, right? So they have to at least score 24 points in the game. Joe's going to have to throw for at least 250 because they're not going to win this game by Joe Mixon running for 165 yards or something like that. Like, that's not going to happen. And then of those 250, T. Higgins gets his receiving prop. His receiving prop set somewhere like 68 yards, 69 yards, something like that. So Higgins ends up having a good day against Trey White. And then Tyler Boyd just kind of picks up some scraps here for 30 yards. And that gets us 6-1. That kind of paints a very realistic picture of how Cincinnati wins the game, right? They win. They got to score 24 points to win. Burrow's going to have to throw for at least 250 for them to win. Higgins basically gets to his receiving prop. Again, this is a few yards short of what his receiving prop is, and then Boyd picks up some scraps along the way. But guys, listen, this is just more than anything. There's no huge advantage in this game. Like don't go in thinking that you have, you know, the idea of how this is going to exactly play out. I mean, this is a get together, sit down on the couch, watch an awesome football game. Two teams that are going to be making runs in the playoffs for sure, and take in some awesome football and just have you some fun action so that you can just have a sweat on the game tonight. Again, Ohio, welcome. Go ahead, head over the lines, take advantage of all of these sign-up promos over there, thousands and thousands of dollars in free bets and things like that and whatever. And guys, as always, everything we do, absolutely free. Really do appreciate the support here as we head into 2023. Hit that subscribe button. It really does help us out a ton. If you want some extra stuff up here, this is the Discord. We're talking about football all day long in there. Good luck on all your Monday Night Football bets.